Poetic Justice here, and we're gonna do a video on the lasers in-game destroying the meteor. And so, I'm not actually gonna destroy the meteor just yet. I'm going to go over the power generators, or at least the primary power generators you'll be using to power the lasers, as well as how much they cost. And the bottom line is you have to absolutely build a computer lab and 4 lasers at least in order to destroy the meteor. And so I'm not going to go over too much on how expensive they are, but these are in-game items, so I'm sure you can come to a conclusion. At the most efficient, you'll take at least, I think, 48 minutes to build each laser, so it might be even more efficient if you waste a little more material to build 4 factories or something. I don't know how long factories take to make, but if you build a certain number of factories first and then the lasers, that might be more efficient, but it might take long to build the actual building to put those in. So you really got to consider your empty space that you have available to do things like that and what tier they're made of. So to go over the power supply demand for this is about 24,000 watts, and each of these lasers require 6,000, but it really doesn't matter because you have to have, this is the minimum requirement, so you don't really need to know what each individual laser actually needs. You just need to know what the whole system altogether needs. And I noticed something about this computer lab. It doesn't need to be inside of a building in order to work. Its only requirements is that all objects are required by the power grid are present, and that the power is sufficient, which is 24,000 watts altogether as a whole unit. So the thing is, how do you dictate how much power you actually need to destroy the laser, or how much you want? And the simple answer is that for some reason, I don't know why the game has done this, it's really stupid and it's not very accurate, but they've made it cheaper to go green instead of making it cheaper to not go green. If that was the case in real life, we would have went green a long time ago. I just want y'all to know that. And so here's solar energy. The cheapest thing. The only thing is the maximum output is 500 watts. And that's at daylight, like at peak daylight, I believe. So this would take, to make 24,000 watts, it's going to take 48 of these solar arrays. Now, keep that number in mind. This one here is, of course, going to be more than that. It's going to be 750 watts. But the wind turbine constantly works, and it's a little more pricey than this. This actual still thing apparently only costs to make one. It costs 1 steel to make it an electronic assembly. That's extremely cheap. It doesn't require copper or gold or any of that. It just requires 1 single still, and you'll produce electricity. That's incredible to the rate. So this produces 750, and it costs and 1 still. When I said that's with 0 efficiencies. All right, this one costs more than that, and let's go ahead and look at it. We're gonna go to the chest over here, and we have one in here, and so we'll go ahead and go to the see, it requires 2 ingots, which in reality, because of my efficiencies, actually means 10 iron ingots. But to produce a single steel, and so this one requires 4 iron ingots to make. This one requires 10 iron ingots to make. This one outputs 500. This one outputs 750. This one requires a whole lot of iron, just like a ridiculous amount, and all these other parts that go with it. And I'm not sure really if that's any benefit to anything, because it's extremely inefficient. The maximum power output is 1500 watts, which is 3 of these solar panels, and I have maximum efficiency. So we're going to look at the cost. This 4 iron ingots that you see here actually means 20 iron ingots. This one piston here is 2 iron ingots, and like I think, no, actually in reality it would be 10 iron ingots, and then like 2 iron ingots on top of that, or yeah, so that's 12 iron ingots per piston. So you got 20, 12, so far we're at 32. And here you can see, just to make the combustion engine cost a lot. So overall, I don't even have to go any further for you to see that you can make just a whole bunch of these solar ones and it would outdo this, or you can make these wind turbines and it would outdo the combustion engine, which requires fuel to generate power, whereas the wind turbine doesn't require fuel to generate power. And the solars require the sun to be out. And I don't know if that's very good or whatnot, but I think I can display the lasers in a bit. Game developers, what they had in mind was that you would build these big fields of wind turbines or something, and that you'd have a whole bunch, I guess is what they envisioned, and they would be in an array or something, and they would all be on the grid, and you'd have to make a whole bunch of them for the game to decide that you have enough power to fire the lasers off. So we're just gonna slap them around everywhere, just I guess to show off the in-game, and I hope the lasers don't actually shoot my wind turbines. I've never actually fired these lasers before, but once the system's activated, that's the beginning of the end of the game. And so if you let the meteor actually hit the planet, I don't know if you've seen any videos or not, but what happens is most people get all their stuff destroyed. And that's pretty just, because most servers that don't make it to the end of the game and can't build this, which, believe it or not, is not too difficult to build, are normally full of toxic players. And I'm probably gonna have to build a little bit more wind turbines out here. But and so everybody leaves and nobody works together, and nobody ever builds the lasers because nobody needs a laser built if you're gonna be toxic anyway and just troll. And yep, that's pretty much it. Now let's see how much we need. We need more. So and I believe I can put these as far away as I want, and they'll still be on the same grid. So yeah. And so these can't be side by side, but they can be one in front of the other, kind of like a... Let's see where I can show you it. Like what happened here is kind of funny, but apparently that works. Let's see if that actually works. Yep, that works. So you can just put your wind turbines all like this. The only thing is, I don't actually think this is gonna work if you do it this way, because I think that the wind speed changes or something like that. So, and we have 4 more to place before we start trying anything silly. About these lasers hitting these turbines because of where I put them. Alright, so we have more than enough power. Everything's online. All we have to do is click activate. Meteor. So I think you get the idea, and I don't know if around to watch the rest of this boring video, because I'm just gonna now wait for the and I might clip this part out so that you don't have to see it whenever you actually or I'll just tag the with the annotation the part of the video that the meteor's getting destroyed at. But yeah, this is what the game developers had in mind for the end of the game. Whenever you got all these wind turbines going like this, and big systems just to power your. So, actually, I want to see why this system's not activating. Nope, it's green. Everything's good. Everything's gonna. You don't need a building for this. I said that. Yeah. And so altogether, it's right here. Legit only cost me 60 steel, and each still cost about 4 ingots. So if you do the math on that, that's like let's see, 4 and 60, so you get 240 iron ingots that you have to spend to power the. So basically, the hardest part is actually building these lasers. I think I'll show while we're waiting for the system. And so that's what the lasers look like when they're lasering the meteor. And I'm sure you can guess that this won't work every time you laser the meteor. They won't just destroy it in one go. You have to keep lasering it, I believe, and oh, never mind. And this is the end game. Sorry if I ruined it for some of you guys. Hooray! Fireworks. And as you can see, little bits of the meteor still kind of come down. But unlike the, whenever you actually don't hit the meteor, what happens is the meteor will essentially break into little pieces anyway. And it'll hit various portions of the map. And as you're watching, you'll see big giant craters and holes appear everywhere. And pretty much everybody's house gets destroyed, everybody's property gets destroyed, everything just gets completely annihilated. And I don't really think some people even care if you destroyed the laser. The meteor. I said laser. Anyway, this laser and computer in the chest so that we could look at their requirements. So, of course, the computer lab and the lasers are all built at the factory. And the factory is built at the electronics lab, and the electronics lab is built at some kind of machine shop. And the machine shop is built at an anvil, and so it all starts. If you've got an anvil, you're going the right direction. The computer lab requires 10 steel, and 6 circuits, and 8 concrete. No, concrete's not. Well, actually, you see, this 10 steel actually means 50 steel, by the way, because I have efficiency 5. So multiply everything you see here by 5, including the amount of time it takes to make, so about 5 hours. To make a computer lab. Each laser takes about a little bit less time, so about 4 hours, and requires 100 gold ingots, 100 steel, and 50 circuits. For the steel and the gold ingots, that's easy enough. For circuitry, somebody who knows what they're doing obviously can deal with these recipes a little easier than other people can. So, especially with auto shops in the game. So you gotta build for these, and so as you can tell, even though it doesn't cost as much time, it costs plenty of resources. So in total, you actually need 400 gold, 400 steel, and 200 circuitry or whatever. And so yeah, that's an expensive system. It's time expensive as well. And it actually isn't as expensive as it could be. This game should offer more disasters than just a meteor. Like, for example, national park style super volcano that's gonna erupt unless you figure out a way to build a machine that's gonna stop it from erupting or something like that. And that's one of the things too that they could do. They could be more creative with their disasters, and the disasters could be like randomly generated to where people have to deal with it, like if it's an episode or something or a series. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.